It's said that the Qur'an and Hadith were transmitted by the same people in the same way. The Qur'an was preserved and passed down through generations, and so was the Hadith. Let's explore this together. The Qur'an was transmitted widely by people. They taught it to their children, to their neighbors, and to their friends. The message of the Qur'an was conveyed even before formal institutions existed, as a natural practice of the community. This became a living tradition, passed down from one generation to the next, from father to child and beyond. The same cannot be said for the Hadith. Here is a simple litmus test to prove this. Ask around and see how many people have memorized any single complete book of Hadith, along with the complete chain of every Hadith. If not the complete book, maybe just a chapter, maybe 100 or even 10 Hadith. Now ask even a Muslim child, he will at least be able to recite a few surahs. It is not uncommon to find people who have memorized the entire Qur'an. The Qur'an, by its nature ontologically in its essence, is a recitation. It's a recital of something. It's not prose. The word Qur'an itself comes from the root Qra, which means to read, ikra, or something to be recited. The Qur'an, the recitation, or something that is recited, is inherently oral and meant to be memorized. Very few hadith were transmitted widely. The most widely transmitted hadith, ironically, the one that says, "Whoever lies about me deliberately, let him take his seat in the hellfire," was passed down by only about 60 people. Some scholars consider it almost none, while others count up to 113. This shows that, unlike the Qur'an, hadith were not memorized or transmitted broadly across the community. Historical records show that several individuals throughout Islamic history admitted to fabricating hadith, and some of these confessions were documented by scholars of hadith. In some cases, fabrications were motivated by political, sectarian, or even well-intended but mistaken pious reasons. Abu Isma Nu ibn Abi Maryam fabricated hadith because he believed people were focusing more on the fiqh of Abu Hanifa than on the Qur'an itself. In addition, some sects, such as the Gulat, admitted to creating hadith to support their beliefs or ideologies. In certain cases, historical records show that when these fabricators were questioned by rulers or hadith scholars, they confessed to inventing hadith to support specific dynasties, tribes, or sects. Scholars including Ibn al-Jawzi, Ibn Hibban, al-Dahabi, and Ibn Adi recorded these confessions in their works. These individuals were self-confessed fabricators, and many hadith that entered well-known collections were later recognized as fabrications. Well, then the argument continues. Someone could have also fabricated verses of the Qur'an too. That is not possible because, as mentioned earlier, too many people had access to the Qur'an and had memorized it, so changing all of that would have been an impossible task. Second, fabricating verses of the Qur'an is not an easy task. In fact, it is essentially impossible. The Qur'an itself challenges people to produce something like it. Copying its language, style, and meaning, and then blending it into a surah so that it makes sense and maintains context is an impossible feat. Also, the Qur'an doesn't address specific worldly details, like telling people to follow certain rulers. That kind of content would immediately raise suspicion if someone tried to fabricate it. To do that with hadith, however, is very easy. Many hadith have no particular style or context and often start and end abruptly. For example, someone could make up a hadith to promote their own interests, like a vegetable vendor claiming, "The Prophet once said, 'Whoever eats the most vegetables will have his place in Jannah next to me.'" In fact, there's a famous hadith about eggplant. The Prophet loved to eat eggplant because it cures every disease. Similarly, it is possible that someone upset with his wife could have fabricated a hadith like, "If a man calls his wife to his bed and she refuses, and he spends the night angry with her, the angels will curse her until morning." This hadith appears in Bukhari and Muslim, labeled Sahih. It is unfortunate when people try to strong-arm others who question the authenticity of hadith by claiming that criticizing hadith automatically means criticizing the Qur'an. Using such arguments to defend hadith by dragging the Qur'an into the discussion is misleading and unfair. To say the Qur'an was transmitted the same way and by the same people as the hadith is akin to claiming that each verse of the Qur'an was preserved by only one person, because 95% or more of hadith are khabar wahid, single narrator reports. And then 200 years later, someone gathered the Qur'an by tracking down 6,236 different people who had memorized the verses through several generations, compiling it into the Mushaf. If you found this video informative, subscribe for more weekly videos like this. Thank you for watching.